Hello, my name is Tina Mitchell, and I'm a time management and business efficiency coach. And I have a program called One Time Your Business, which is a 8-week course. It's virtual live, where I share proven techniques that you can implement into your business model to take your business efficiency to the highest level possible. And I'm really excited to have my guest here today, Mary Gleason. And this is actually attached to week 2 of my course. Part of that is what to say yes to and what to say no to. And one of the questions that I give you in the course is, what is your gut or your intuition telling you to do? And so I thought Mary would be a perfect guest to interview, because this is what she does day in and day out, is coaching on your intuition. Mary, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you.
Thank you, Tina. I am happy to be here, and I am so excited that you get what I try to do. So I'm happy to share it.
Yes, I'm excited that I get it as well, because people that don't, they're really missing out on some great opportunities, which we're going to talk about today. So before we get into a few of the questions that I'd like to ask you, Mary, I just want to share with our audience a little bit about you. So Mary Gleason is a psychic medium, hypnotherapist, and intuition coach.
Hypnotherapist.
That's what I meant to say, hypnotherapist. Thank you, Mary. Mary wasn't always aware of her gifts or their abilities to make positive difference in her life until things were no longer working for her. Finally, she had her own empathy and set out to learn about her gifts, as well as commit to learning new skills for healthier and a happier life, which we all want. Her vision now is to help others, especially business executives, learn how their intuition shows up for them and to value it as a valid contribution to decisions and leadership. Now, as a consultant with nonprofits for over 20 years, Mary has worked with many nonprofit executives to become more aware of the information that they have at their fingertips and to call on it proactively, which we're going to talk about with Mary today. Calling on your intuition saves time, money, stress, and especially if you listen to it. Not everyone is psychic like Mary is, but everyone has some intuition and is there for their greatest good and their highest purpose. So again, Mary, it's just a real honor to be here with you today and to be able to share your not just wealth of expertise and the wealth of information that you have, but truly the gift that you're sharing with the world. And I'm happy that my coaching students get to listen to this as they're working on their course for week 2. So Mary, the first question that I would love to ask you is, how did you come up with intuition coaching?
So as you mentioned, that I have been a consultant with nonprofits for many years, and I often work with the executive team and the CEOs and board members. And one of the things that I noticed is there seems to be patterns of bad behavior. Excuse me, not bad behavior, there might be that too, but bad decision making. Yes. So I will hear, oh my God, this is the 5th person that didn't work out in that position. Or I will hear like, oh, I was sure that was going to work and it didn't, and it's not just once, but a pattern. And so when I would ask them, let's walk through your decision-making process, I got a lot about the hard data. Here are the spreadsheets. Here's the balance sheet. Here's the resume. Here are what people
the so-called facts.
All the facts. And I would say, but what did your gut tell you? What did your heart tell you? What did your head tell you? What, besides the thinking side, what did the other side of your head tell you? And if I walk them back far enough, and I ask them things like, when did you really know you shouldn't have hired that person? They will almost always get to before I hired them.
Yes.
So that's sort of how I got into that. Personnel is not my strong suit. That's not why I'm there. But the decisions that they make, now I consult on strategic planning, governance, and fundraising.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much time the executive team doesn't have to participate in those things because they're
Mm,
busy putting out fires that a lot of which could have been prevented.
yeah,
So that's
and
how I got into it.
I love that. And if you're listening to this interview that I'm having with Mary today, I want you to think back of whether it's hiring somebody or something else to where you knew you could feel it in your gut. It was your intuition telling you, this might not be the right decision. And that's what today is all about.
Mhm.
And that's what part of the coursework for this week is really paying attention. And what Mary's here to help us do is to really be able to recognize and how to actually read your intuition. So Mary, let's go ahead and move on to my second question is
Okay.
why intuition and why do you want to call attention to it?
So people will tell me that they will say she's an intuitive coach. And while that's true, the truth is I want to coach you to get in touch with your intuition because it is thing, the only thing in the entire world that is there just for you. It exists only for you. There's no quid pro quo with your intuition. It is for your greatest good and highest purpose. It is always done in the highest order of light and love just for you. There's nothing else in your life like it. So why wouldn't you? It's free. It's readily available, and again, it's there just for you. So it's important for me to share what I've learned with others because this isn't something I made up, but it is something that caused me to when I didn't use it, I became very ill.
Yeah, yeah.
And part of my healing process was just that whole thing of stepping backwards all the time and saying, how did I get into this pickle? How did I end up here? Kind of thing. So I became very aware of my intuition, which had always been there for me.
Yeah,
And yet at some point I stopped listening to it.
yeah.
And when I started listening to it, everything got better.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And again, too, if you're listening to this day, I want you to just take a couple seconds, and I want you to just think about what it would feel like if you knew that you had a part of you, just for you, as Mary stated, that knows exactly the direction that you should be going in.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is just to take that time, learn from an expert like Mary and how to draw it out and how to be able to recognize it. And just imagine how much calmer your life would be. So I'm just, again, Mary, I'm just so happy to have been connected with you through our BNI chapter and to get to know you personally. And I personally have actually sat down in one of Mary's workshops and had some amazing experiences. And I thought I really am in tune with my intuition at a very high level because I've worked on it, but I've never worked on it with a professional. And so being able to experience what I did in your workshop was a beautiful thing. And so again, just really honored to have you here with me. So Mary, what has been your experience working with executives?
Well, so sometimes I don't say what we're going to do now is intuition coaching, but it does seem to flow seamlessly from much of my work. And I ask them in detail about their decision-making process, and I will also ask them about how they make decisions in their personal life.
Yes.
And it's funny because I've had occasion to go to people's homes and they will have beautiful little altars or meditation rooms or candles that they light. They participate in yoga and they do meditations. And I ask them, what would happen if you brought that into the workplace? I mean, what happens for you there? And they say, oh, I get so many good ideas. Da, 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 da. What would happen if you brought that same reflective practice into the workplace? And then I point out, when you don't, it's like leaving half your brain in the car. You just bring in the right side or the left side of your brain, which is all rational, logical thinking, that's your spreadsheets. Those are your resumes. But the other side, the right side of your brain, that is so expressive and intuitive and creative.
Yes.
It can help you think through differently. But it's just like anything else. We have to call on it proactively, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, we have to know when we're getting an intuitive hit. And since that shows up for everybody differently, that's why I like to walk them through. I can walk 5 executives through the same different processes, and each one will come back with something different.
Yes.
Of how that showed up for them. There's no wrong. There is no like, oh, I'm sorry, now you got to go back and try again kind of thing. It's like, just, okay, that's where we're going to start.
Yeah. And so, oh, go ahead, Mary.
No, that's okay.
And so if you're listening today, think about the times that you are most creative and you're most excited about that big project. The numbers and the facts and all of that it's critically important. And you have to have that, and looking at stats and kind of where they're taking you to see the results that you're getting are meeting your goals or not, and how to adjust those. But think about what gets you most excited about that project and that big goal that you have. It's when your creative juices start coming into play. And when you can draw from your intuition at the highest level, it helps to get you to that place, that magical place. And so yes, it's truly a beautiful thing. So Mary, who are some of your inspirations?
Well, one of the, there's so many, but one of the books that I like to ask my clients to read is a short little book called Chakras for Beginners. And chakras are those energy bodies that are the 7 main chakras that are in the body that run along the spine from the root to the crown. And the reason I have them do that, and by the way, the book was written by David Pond, who lives somewhere in this area. So I think he's over on Bainbridge, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it's a brilliant little book, been out forever. It's not a hard read, but you'll be amazed at the information that is contained there. And it's really important to understand that nothing happens on just one level. It's mental, it's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual.
Yeah.
And when you get to know the chakras, you become in tune with your personal barometer. Your body is the best barometer of what's happening for you, but you have to understand the signals. So lots of times when I'm teaching chakra development to some of my workshops or whatever, people will rush to say, oh, I feel the energy here. And I say, and what does that mean? And they don't know. And I say, it's really important to also know the meaning of that energy in that place. And that's where things get stuck, or they hum, or they move, or, you get to know your own body. So I would say that if I could make just one recommendation, it would be Chakras for Beginners by David Pond. But I could make a whole list. And in fact,
of course you can.
On my website, I'll just make a quick plug, MaryGleason.Life. There is a whole list of resources of books that have really helped me on my journey.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mary. And how do you know that it's your intuition? I think that a lot of people question that. Is this my intuition talking to me, or is it not? So what are some ways that you can feel confident that you're reading your intuition correctly?
That is like my favorite question, and the most often asked, like, how do I know that was real? How do I know this? And so it's really easy to discern.
Okay.
If you're paying attention. Your ego, your rational brain, your ego, they want to have a conversation with you. They want to rationalize everything and bring it down to the lowest common denominator, to the simplest thing to move forward. Your ego wants to keep you safe, which keeps you small, and all of those things. Your intuition is short and sweet and to the point. It's very positive. So your ego or your left brain might say, people aren't going to buy into that. What am I going to do with this? So-and-so is going to be mad, whatever. your intuition says things like pass on this one. There's better out there. Really short and sweet, even if it's just like run.
Yeah.
Very positive, very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where your greatest good. Now, sometimes what I'm describing can be thoughts in your head, but you can also feel them in your body.
Yes.
So for me, my gut is my number one barometer.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so if I'm not hearing it call to me, then I stop and close my eyes and check in with it.
Yes.
It's that simple, and
Yeah.
it's that available. And then if I'm still not satisfied, then I just keep doing the scan.
Yeah.
So when you know how your intuition shows up for you, when you know how your body gets your attention, then you don't have to, you don't question it quite so much. I will say that lots of times what happens is people will hear or they'll understand this isn't right, and then they engage the left brain and talk themselves right out of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think can get, and I talk about this in my course, is literally when your intuition can be talking to you, and then all of a sudden the left side of the brain kicks in and it's saying the exact opposite. And so you really have to pay attention and to be able to recognize that as you're saying. Otherwise you're going to completely miss that, and it can direct you in a whole opposite direction. Correct?
Right. And it's always okay to call in somebody else.
Yeah.
And say, what do you think about this? And the one question that I like to tell people to ask others is, what do you feel about this? Which is different than what do you think?
Yes. Much a complete opposite.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's good to challenge yourself.
Yeah. And isn't it true too, Mary, that sometimes something is just so special that your intuition is, like you said, how your body feels when you get those, the tingling, and you have, you're getting warm and fuzzy, and tears might come for no reason, but tears of joy. That's your intuition really trying to get you to pay attention to something, isn't it?
It can be, for sure. For sure. A couple of years ago, somebody offered me a full-time job. And for all the wrong reasons, I said yes. And I felt myself go numb.
Oh, wow.
And I very quickly said, wait, no. I have to trust this feeling that this is not a good fit for me.
Yes.
And so thank you, but no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And finding out what happened in that organization after that, I'm like, wow, I dodged a bullet. Good for me.
Yeah.
None of those other reasons mattered. None of those other reasons mattered.
Yeah.
It was the right thing for me to back out.
Yes. Yeah. And I'd love to share just one quick story. And I think that somebody that's listening today has these moments as well, where your intuition is telling you something is very special. And this is kind of what took me on my journey to really pay attention to my body. And I call it my navigation system. And it just makes me feel so good. Just like when I'm driving, I feel really great knowing that my car is going to take me where I need to get. It doesn't matter if I take a wrong turn or not, as long as I pay attention and go back on track of what the navigation is telling me. And that's the same thing with our intuition when we feel these things in our body. And about 5 years ago, I was driving on I-5, and I used to carry a little black book before I started recording all the thoughts that were coming to my mind, and all these words started coming up in my mind, and I could feel that it was special. So I pulled over on the side of the freeway, and I just got out my little black book and I started writing all of these words. Well, when I came home that night, I called my best friend and I said, I think I just wrote a poem. And I'm not a poem writer. I mean, it wasn't anything that I've done before, and I think I'm going to call it Dream. And I asked if I could read it to her, and she said, yeah, of course. So I started reading the words to my poem, Dream. And I was crying, she was crying. It was just so emotional. And these words, when they hit me, were so strong that I was feeling that warm and fuzzy. I had tingles, I was crying, and I had in a really positive way, no idea what was happening, but I knew it was really special. Well, a year later, I had my first opportunity to work with transitional housing, women that are trying to get back on the street get back to a home on themselves with their children. They're off the street, they've gone through the process, and they're in a home with other women for 12 to 24 months. And when I left from that first experience that I had with those women, I thought, wow, I wish I could leave them with something, because I didn't know then if I was going to have an opportunity to see them again. And we'd had such a beautiful 3 hours together. And before I could even open my car door, I realized that those words that I wrote down, it wasn't a poem, it was a song. And this song was meant for these women because music touches me so much. And I know all the scientific studies about music and what it can do for you. And that's why those words were important. That's why my intuition was telling me to stop and to embrace this moment, make note of this. A year later, I never looked at that poem except for that one night when I read it to Stephanie, my best friend, and embraced that moment. Just, it was sitting in my black book, no feelings, until a year later when that moment happened. And you can actually YouTube Dream by Tina Mitchell, and you can listen to my song Dream. Now, everything that happened after that, my personal motto was live your dream now. My 12-month workshop that I have for women that are in transitional housing all came from that one moment. So many things have happened in my life because of that. So I want you to think about that, because each of you have a story like that as well, where there was a beautiful moment that you embraced and that took you to a life-changing event. And a lot of times it's connected you to help to be life-changing for someone else as well. That's the magic of your intuition. Just one example. So again, why this conversation with Mary is so important for me to be able to share this with you. So Mary, go ahead, Mary.
There's two things that you brought up that I think are really important. And one is, you didn't know why, you just did it. Right? You just did it, and you trusted the feelings that flowed from it. So not every intuitive hit is something you can use in the moment, but spirit knows, or the universe knows, whatever you're comfortable with, you know, that on your path down the road, this will help you. But it was your own intuition also telling you good things are coming. Yeah. Good things are coming. The second thing is, I want to just bring it back to business, which is, it's really expensive to make a bad hire.
Yes.
It's really expensive to start the wrong program. It's really expensive to bring on the wrong board members.
Yes.
If you're in a nonprofit. I mean, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
And again, your intuition is free.
Yes.
And it's readily available. So you had this moment that you paid attention to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, though, you can also just close your eyes and ask for the information to come to you. Yeah. Maybe not a song or a poem, but you can say, please bring to me the information I need right now in this moment to help me move forward in a way for my greatest good and highest purpose, for those all around me, whatever that is.
Yes.
So it can come to you on beckoned, or it can you can call on it. And so I just want people to know, because people will say, oh yeah, every now and then I get these hits, and I say, well, when do you ask for the hits? Oh, never. It's like and yet here it is, it's readily available for you. So that enriched your heart. And other times when you call on it and it really only takes a few seconds, it enriches your team, your organization, whatever it is.
So true. So just like we have regular routines to do everything else, grooming ourselves, groom our mind and our intuition, and have a special time every day that you are calling and asking on that. Yes. Whatever those things that you are looking to get direction for, and what a better place to get direction from your own self that already knows the direction that you should be heading.
So that's great. Set a time, call that making a date with spirit, or with God, or the universe, or your angels, whatever you're most comfortable with, but make that date in your mind in the morning for a few minutes. And throughout the day, it only takes a second. It really does. You'll just go, no, my stomach hurts every time I think about this person coming on board, or I can't breathe. It's in my heart. We're not in right relationship here to start this. And maybe it's not at this time, or maybe it's not under these circumstances. Whatever it is, you'll get the rest later, but trust me.
Yeah, so true.
And sometimes you'll get that leap for joy. It'll be like, oh, everything is flowing. Everything feels great.
Yeah. And, as Mary said, what an expensive, expensive mistake that is, and so much additional stress. It's a disservice to the rest of your team, and it's a disservice to that applicant if you bring them in and they're not the right person. So we talk about that in week 5 of my course, critically important part of the process. So Mary, how do you call on your intuition proactively? So we've talked about the importance to have those times that you are intentionally setting that date with yourself. I love that. I'm going to start calling it my date with myself. So how do you proactively call on your intuition?
Again, if you go to my website, MaryGleason.Life, there is a free guided meditation called Chakra Balancing for Greater Intuition, downloadable, no cost. And the reason I think that's really important is it walks you through and introduces you to your chakras.
Okay.
And it tells you a little bit about how to balance them and how to think about them and to understand what they're in charge of. Because first and foremost, you have to know how your intuition shows up for you. Mm-hmm. There are other ways, you can get that hair on the back of your neck standing up, you can get chills, you can get tingles. There are other ways. Sometimes I get auditory. But if I need to call on it proactively, I got to go to some place that I can start with. And my body is it. That is number one. And spirit, it'll give you a little tap on the shoulder, give you another little tap, give you a little shove, give you a little, don't make it have to give you an ulcer.
Yes.
Don't make it have to take your health to hear you. But our body is a physical thing that we do already trust in many ways. Sure. So understand what your chakras are, what they represent, how they feel to you. Mm-hmm. And then throughout the day, if you know where you're blocked, but you also know where you're flowing and all of those things, when something else is introduced and you feel it somewhere, you already know what's yours and what's not, what's coming in to you kind of thing. So it's as simple as closing your eyes for a second. Mm-hmm. So for me, my gut is my number one barometer. Mm-hmm. It's very sensitive because, I managed to give myself all those ulcers before. Mm-hmm. If I just close my eyes every morning and think about breakfast, it will tell me what I can have.
Yeah. Mm.
So if I think about oatmeal, or I think about eggs, or I think about a protein shake, sometimes it'll be neutral, sometimes it'll start to tingle in a bad way, and I know, skip that one, go for neutral or go for happy, but can't do this. So every day it's a little different. You can do that same kind of thing. Hold that resume and close your eyes. Hold that program description and close your eyes. Mm-hmm. Hold that board member application, close your eyes. Just give it a few seconds and just scan your chakras. Okay. Or feel the skin, or the hair rise up on the back of your neck, or taking your breath away. Or it might be that you were already tight and all of a sudden you go, I can breathe. Yeah. So it's right there. You just have to ask it and then sit still. And sometimes sitting still is hard, but it really doesn't take long. It will come to you more quickly, faster and faster. And
then it's just like in anything else that we're so used to. If you have a stomach ache, you know that you've got stomach issues. If you start to get a fever, you might be coming down with something. And we have these things that we can feel in our body that are indicators that something is wrong. I'm having a difficult time picking up things with my right hand. I feel this sharpness go through, and it's like, okay, I've got to check to see, maybe I've got carpal tunnel. So, and it's the same thing with your intuition. Once you start recognizing, it literally, your body is talking to you, right?
And I will tell you, there's another great little book out there, Louise Hay. She wrote about Heal Your Life. Heal Your Body, Heal Your Life, something like that. I looked up in there migraines, because I was having migraines constantly. And when I read her description, it's a resistance to being driven. And I went, oh my God, that fits me. I am constantly trying for that next promotion, that next pay raise, and it's not where I want to go in life.
Yes,
but it's
yes.
what I thought I was supposed to do.
Mm.
And I cut down on the number of migraines in my life tremendously
Yeah.
when I got that, because it was like, oh, I'm resisting. No, I don't really want to do this. I'm
Yeah.
not going to.
Yes.
So, Tina, pay attention to your right arm.
Mhm.
Is that your dominant arm?
It is.
It is. So yes,
Yeah.
repetitive use can do that, but
Uh-huh.
it's also telling you it's time to do things differently.
Interesting.
It's time for you to think about another way to do whatever it is you're doing
Mm-hmm.
for greater ease,
Interesting.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mary's good to have in your back pocket. So on that note, Mary, I want to thank you for all the resources that you've provided on your website. Can you give the website address again?
Yeah, it's MaryGleason, GLEASON.life, LIFE.
Wonderful. So lots of great information to help get yourself in that great spot, learning about your chakras and all of that. Mary, I'd also love if somebody's listening today and would like to know more about a workshop or how to work with you one-on-one, what would be a call to action for them to take to get more information on that?
So everything is on my website, but they're also welcome to send me an email at MaryGleason.Life. Just that easy. Always happy to talk with you. I also have a Facebook page, MaryGleason.Life. So it's pretty consistent stuff. I'm not a narcissist. It's just easier that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, please feel free to reach out to me, and I am happy to discuss it. And please know that any service I offer has, I'm happy to give you a 20-minute discovery call to make sure that what you're looking for is what I do, and I feel like I can help you. So no charge, and anybody can schedule themselves for a discovery call at any time.
So I would encourage, if you're listening today, schedule this discovery call, because you're not a discovery call. You're not out anything. It gives you an opportunity to chat with Mary and find out where your needs are at and how she can help you. And again, I just wanted to bring her in as we're in week 2 of the burn. And this is in spirit of what to say yes and no to. And it would be great that you don't have to ask yourself that question anymore. I give you a lot of things to go through in this process and this exercise. But most importantly, as I wrap things up with it, if you remember when we talked about what to say yes to and what to say no to, most important is to pay attention to your intuition. And Mary is the expert at that, and she's offering a free discovery call. So Mary, thank you so much. It's a pleasure again to be connected with you. I'm so excited as our friendship continues to grow, and I know I'm going to continue to grow into the best person that I'm meant to be, just from having an opportunity to meet you and learn more about what you do. So I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Tina, and I'm enjoying your workshop, so yay.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for listening to my conversation with Mary. Thank you for being a part of the burn. And as always, I'm here to assist you on any area that you need. And we'll talk soon. All right, Mary, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.